I'm Sue Mason with this TV8 News Break. A look now at some of the stories we're working on for the 6 o'clock news coming up in just 1/2 hour. The future of Prairie Meadows looks even more uncertain now because of the lack of support for expanded casino gambling. A live report from the track at 6. Also tonight, good news about student performance at one of Des Moines' most troubled elementary schools. Michelle Parker tells us why. And it's Super Bowl mania in the Twin Cities. An estimated 2,000 media representatives already gearing up at the Metrodome. Now this.
I've been waiting for this.
Crab legs are back.
Yes.
At the Choice Smorgasbord.
When?
Evenings Monday through Thursday.
Let's go.
Enjoy up to a pound of crab legs with any adult dinner at no extra charge.
Our forecast for tonight, increasing cloudiness, areas of fog, a low around 34 degrees, winds light out of the southeast. Tomorrow, cloudy skies, a 50% chance of rain by late in the morning, a high near 40 degrees. And for tomorrow night, a 30% chance of evening rain or snow. Now to CBS Evening News.
The battle over a woman's right to an abortion moves from the streets to the Supreme Court. Cars, workers, and the growing threat of an American-Japanese trade war. Also, Eye on America. Tonight, child custody, charges of sex abuse, and a mother's worst nightmare. This is the CBS Evening News. Good evening. Dan Rather reporting. If there was any doubt about it, abortion is back as an election year issue. That was guaranteed today when the United States Supreme Court said it will take up a case that could roll back its landmark 1973 ruling about abortion rights for women. And as law correspondent Rita Braver reports, some anti-abortion protesters weren't waiting for the court to rule.
We are going to see the king.
The announcement came as anti-abortion demonstrators converged on Washington, blocking entrances to abortion clinics. Their leader gleefully predicted the Supreme Court will uphold Pennsylvania's abortion law, thereby essentially gutting Roe v. Wade, the landmark decision giving women almost unlimited right to abortion.
If they uphold all the statutes of the PA law and don't address Roe, they have in effect laid the axe to Roe.
Abortion rights activists agreed, sadly.
So they can finally issue the death knell to a woman's right to choose.
Under the Pennsylvania law, women seeking abortions must notify their spouses, hear state-mandated information about abortion alternatives, then wait 24 hours before undergoing the procedure. With only 2 liberals left, the Supreme Court is considered highly likely to uphold the Pennsylvania law, issuing a decision this summer, just in time for the elections. Abortion rights groups are ready to make it a big issue.
There's no doubt President Bush is leading America into the back alleys again.
And Democratic candidates, all pro-choice, are already pouncing.
I intend to fight to make sure the woman retains her right to make reproductive decisions and make that choice.
The younger voters are going to leave the Republican Party in droves, I believe, and George Bush is going to rue the day that he stacked the court.
President Bush, an abortion foe, had no comment today, but another Republican delivered the party line.
I am pro-life. I think my party should be pro-life. If that costs me votes and my party votes, so be it. This isn't an issue on which some of us can compromise.
And ironically, today's announcement came on the eve of the anniversary of the famous Roe v. Wade decision. 19 years ago, it was announced in 1973, Dan.
Rita, emphasizing this was an announcement today. If the Supreme Court finally does make a decision about the Pennsylvania law, would abortion automatically become outlawed immediately?
No, it wouldn't, Dan. That decision, if it comes, and it will probably come this summer, would mean that states would be free to impose increasing restrictions on that right to abortion, and how restrictive they could be would in part depend on the exact language of whatever the court decides.
Rita Braver, live at the Supreme Court. Thanks. Japan slammed itself into reverse today to back away from charges by a leading Japanese politician. Japan's House Speaker was quoted yesterday as saying American workers are lazy and overpaid, and 1/3 of them can't read. Today, he said he was misquoted and misunderstood. Bill Whitaker has more about it from Tokyo.
Reeling from the U.S. backlash, Japan's foreign ministry today found itself in the awkward position of trying to put a positive spin on the controversial slur.
The true gist of what he meant to say was that it is vitally important that Japan and the United States resolve economic problems which stand between the two countries.
Despite the government whitewash, House Speaker Sakura Uchi merely said in public what many Japanese say in private. that U.S. economic problems are made in America. It's a reflection of resurgent Japanese pride.
The British took 500 years to become really arrogant. Americans took 100 years to become arrogant, but we only took 10 years.
As a new batch of American cars rolled off the ship in Yokohama today, Japanese automakers were grumbling that without dramatic improvements in quality, they'll be hard-pressed to sell even the modest number of additional cars they sort of promised President Bush. Today, there was no one in this Chrysler showroom in downtown Tokyo, not even a salesperson.
Without the effort by Big Three, we cannot achieve that goal. But we will do everything possible to accomplish that target.
With 40% of their exports going to the United States, Japanese business people are shaking in their boots over the growing trade friction. One Japanese businessman said today his greatest hopes are that the Japanese politicians keep their mouths shut and the American economy rebounds quickly, so all this talk of protectionism and trade war will die down. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Tokyo.
The Japanese may hope all that talk about fair trade practices goes away, but Republican presidential candidate Patrick Buchanan is talking that talk as much as possible in New Hampshire. As correspondent Eric Ingberg reports, it fits right into Buchanan's criticism of President Bush in the Republican primary.
Conservative Pat Buchanan is making Bush administration trade policy toward Japan and other world powers a major issue in the New Hampshire primary, pushing the White House onto the defensive.
And I believe in America first. I believe in putting America first and keeping her first.
His message, which the White House calls out-of-date protectionism, is that foreign countries are kicking America around, and it's got to stop. It's a message that resonates in a state which has been badly hurt by the recession.
All we need is more jobs.
As he stumps the state, calling himself an economic nationalist, Buchanan's tough talk starts with Japan, but extends to all trade rivals. A good illustration was a meeting with New Hampshire voters, where with relish he told how he would lecture the Kuwaitis if they yield to salesmen pushing Airbus jetliners made in Europe.
I would have had the emir on the phone. Say, listen, little fellow, you don't seem to understand. You know, we sent 500,000 people over there and saved you guys. And you're going to talk to the fellow from McDonnell Douglas and the fellow from Boeing, and then you're going to pick up your new airliner. And if that's not the case, call up the Germans the next time you're in trouble. And I think that's the way you have to deal with some of these things.
His approach is always good for applause. On the defensive, the White House sent Vice President Quayle to make the point that 35,000 jobs in New Hampshire rely on foreign trade, and that companies which export would face retaliation if the U.S. raises barriers.
Don't turn back the clock. Don't send us a message that protectionism is good for the country or good for our party. It's not.
Buchanan calls his underdog battle a fight for the soul of the Republican Party, which has been staunchly free trade since the Reagan Revolution. How long this battle goes on will depend in large measure on the voters of New Hampshire. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Durham, New Hampshire.
More American jobs are about to disappear. United Technologies, the giant aerospace company, announced plans today to get a lot smaller. The company will eliminate nearly 14,000 jobs, mostly, it says, through attrition. President Bush's re-election campaign tried to get the focus today off trouble for U.S. business and on to a photo opportunity, some sound bites, and a proposal to expand a popular program for preschoolers. White House correspondent Susan Spencer has more.
Goodbye. Healthy crime. Give me a hug.
Mr. Bush used kids at a local community center as the backdrop for his election year surprise, announcing he'll propose $600 million more for Head Start.
And these funds will allow every eligible 4-year-old child whose parents want them to participate to have the Head Start experience before starting school.
Among government programs, Head Start stands as a success story, praised by liberals and conservatives alike for its simple goal, preparing poor kids for school. But it misses many, and that led Mr. Bush in 1988 to pledge full funding to reach them all. In fact, funding is way up, from about $1 billion in '89 to nearly $3 billion under this new plan.
And we've fought for increases the last 3 years, but this one is the largest ever.
The president has hardly had to fight. Congress more than doubled his request last year, and Democrats now say his increase falls far short of what's really needed to reach all the kids who are eligible for help.
America's children need more than an election year handout. They need a long-term commitment to their school readiness and their future.
Now he's dropping in the polls, so he wants to give a little money to the poor kids and their parents. I applaud the recommendation because it'll help some people, but it is a pittance of what we should be doing.
Children's advocates say the extra money just won't be enough per child for a comprehensive program.
What we are disappointed in, and that this message reflects it, is he's consistently skimped on the quality of the program and suggested serving more children with fewer dollars.
But quarrels aside, more money for kids is a no-lose political proposition, and expect to hear more about increases in children's programs in the upcoming budget. It fits in quite nicely with Mr. Bush's plans to campaign on a theme of family values. Dan?
Susan Spencer, thanks. Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, a new challenge to Libya's Gaddafi in the wake of Pan Am 103, and the mob's Teflon Don on trial again. This time, the charges may stick.
So you claim you were getting your oil changed at your GM dealership. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And how long did this take?
An hour, hour and a half.
Really? And isn't it true that the GM dealership in question is a Mr. Goodwrench Quick Lube Plus dealer? And isn't it also true that they guarantee a complete GM oil change, lube, and 10-point maintenance check in 29 minutes, or the next one is free?
Your GM dealer is serious about putting service back in the service department, so try Mr. Goodwrench Quick Lube Plus for a change.
I'd like to talk to you about an invisible problem, the invisible bacteria that cause denture odor. Fortunately, antibacterial Efferdent kills those odor-causing bacteria for clean, fresh dentures.
Antibacterial Efferdent. For painful gas, which would you choose? Your antacid or Gas-X, the tablet made for gas? It's extra strength, 100% simethicone to fight gas faster. Faster than your antacid. Fight gas right with Gas-X.
The UN Security Council called on Muammar Gaddafi today to hand over 2 Libyans wanted for the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103. The resolution, pushed by the United States and Britain, passed unanimously. It does not say what will happen if Gaddafi fails to deliver the suspects, but economic sanctions could be next. Jury selection began here in New York today for the trial of the man reputed to be the nation's #1 mobster. As Giselle Fernandez reports, it's the government's latest attempt to get a guilty verdict against John Gotti and make it stick.
It was February 1990. New York's Little Italy shot up the sky. John Gotti faced down the government and beat the rap again.
We're all happy. We're all happy. We got a good decision. The whole city should be happy.
Gotti's acquittal, his 3rd court victory in 4 years, fueled his legendary status as Teflon Don. To some, he's a modern-day Al Capone.
The reason why he's a folk hero is because he beat the first case. He is handsome. He does wear $2,000 suits. He is well-groomed. Every hair is always in place. He's quick with one-liners.
It's Gotti's air of invincibility that's even served him well in the courtroom. Despite charges he rigged past trials, jurors seemed more charmed by him than frightened.
You see him there in courtroom. He's well-dressed. He's clean-shaven. He looks good. I mean, they tell you about all the things he's doing. He doesn't look like a thug. He doesn't look like a criminal.
But now those who observe the mob say Gotti's winning streak is about to screech to a halt. For the government, this is a must-win case. They've said it before, but this time the feds say they've really got the goods to lock the reputed godfather away for life.
You tell this punk, I meet John Gotti, and I will sever your head off. You're over.
These surveillance tapes, say prosecutors, will prove Gotti is a ruthless crime boss of the Gambino family, responsible for the murder of, among others, his predecessor, Paul Castellano, shot dead outside a New York steakhouse. Prosecutors have another lethal weapon. Gotti's hand-picked underboss cut a deal and will testify for the government.
The decision by Sammy Gravano to testify is certainly a big, big event. He's been there since John Gotti came to power. He knows where all the bodies are buried.
Gotti's associates had little to say about the trial. Outside their clubhouse door hangs a yellow ribbon of hope for their boss's return. But with him or without him, family business goes on as usual. Giselle Fernandez, CBS News, New York.
Stay here with us now for more news, including an image problem for Bambi. Is he the new nuisance of suburbia? And should he be shot?
Butter? Philly.
Thank you.
Looks good, doesn't it? Ounce for ounce, Philly cream cheese has half the calories of butter or margarine. Next time, butter your bread with Philly instead.
Everybody needs some
$12 for every mile over the limit.
That's $300.
You can add fast, too. Next.
To send someone money fast, call 1-800-CALL-CASH or come to any Western Union location. Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
The first time I switched pain relievers, it was from aspirin to Tylenol. Then recently, I switched again, from Tylenol acetaminophen to Advil. You see, I got these really pounding headaches, and I found Tylenol didn't always get rid of all the pain. So I tried Advil and found that for my really tough headaches, 2 Advil worked better than 2 extra-strength Tylenol tablets, better than extra-strength Tylenol caplets, better than Tylenol gel caps. For my tough headaches, Advil just works better. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
Every time you reach for a cereal, you have to make a choice. Well, what if next time you had to choose between these cereals based solely on the side panels? No brand names, no fancy packages, just the plain and simple facts. You'd find only one is low in sugar and a good source of fiber and made from whole grain oats. Cheerios. Compare the side panels and see for yourself. The choice is Cheerios.
When you can no longer manage on your own, will the person you trust take care of you or take advantage of you? 48 Hours, Wednesday.
Russian investigators said today the leaders of the August coup planned to turn the Soviet Union into a military police state. They say documents show the plotters would have abolished all government bodies and given military patrols the right to shoot criminal suspects on the spot. The Russian investigators also said Mikhail Gorbachev had nothing to do with the plot. From around the world now, more CBS News. Cuba followed up last night's execution of an anti-Castro exile by warning dissidents of a crackdown to come. Eduardo Diaz Betancourt was one of 3 Cuban exiles from Miami captured last month with a boatload of weapons. The other 2 had their death sentences commuted. In France, 9 people survived last night's Airbus crash in the mountains, including a 1-year-old girl. 87 others were killed. The crash has revived questions about the advanced electronic flight systems on the European-made Airbus. It now looks like the weather in Florida will be warm enough for tomorrow's launch of Shuttle Discovery. It's a science mission to test the effects of weightlessness. And Detroit's police chief has gone on trial. William Hart is accused of stealing $2.5 million in police funds. Coming up next, Eye on America. Tonight, custody wars and charges of child abuse pushed to the extreme.
What does this woman know about dieting that maybe you don't? That you don't have to drink your breakfast, because a serving of Kellogg's Special K actually has fewer calories than a glass of the leading diet shake. In fact, the entire Special K breakfast, including fruit, skim milk, and coffee, has fewer calories than the diet shake. So, if you're going to have something special when you're trying to lose weight, shouldn't it be something special with fewer calories? Kellogg's Special K. Lose the fat.
Red Lobster knows the colder the water, the sweeter the snow crab. So now, just for January, we bring you special prices on 7 platters of the sweetest snow crab ever, direct from the icy Bering Sea. Hurry to Red Lobster.
It's Red Lobster's lunch special. For a short time, get shrimp and chicken for just $3.99. Golden fried shrimp and grilled chicken breast with salad and baked potato, only $3.99. Now, every day at Red Lobster for lunch.
Do you have a cold?
Yes, I do have a cold.
Here's 2 cold medicines. This relieves these 3 symptoms, this 9. Choose one.
I would use this one.
Why?
That's my cold. The fever, the headaches, the sinus congestion.
Here's what you chose.
I'm totally amazed.
Would you try Tristan Cold?
Absolutely.
How do you feel?
I feel amazingly good.
And for hot, soothing relief when the flu hits, try new Dristan Cold and Flu.
I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Paula Zahn. Do you think top American executives are being paid too much?
That debate tomorrow on CBS This Morning. It's breakfast for your head.
Tonight's Eye on America is about a mother losing a child. Oh, the child is alive. It's just that the mother can't have anything to do with her anymore. Why? Well, it's an unusual story, told tonight by correspondent Erin Hayes.
We have to take it to a federal court.
Evelyn Hayes has enlisted help for what she says is the fight of her life.
And we're going to get her out of there.
Yeah, we are. I don't have any other choice. It is a legal fight to regain custody of her 6-year-old daughter. Although they live in the same town, Evelyn has not been allowed to see her for almost a year.
This is her ball team.
Are you allowed to go watch?
No.
Can you write her letters?
No, I can't write her letters. I can't send her Christmas cards.
It's an unusual case. Evelyn Hayes used to have custody, but that changed after she accused her ex-husband, Steve, of sexually abusing their daughter. He fought back by seeking custody. Evelyn was jailed for hiding the girl from him, and in a court battle that lasted 2.5 years, the child was finally given to Steve, and Evelyn denied the right to ever see her again.
You don't take a child's mother away because she's fighting for her.
Critics charge in county courthouses across the country, women are being punished severely for fighting judges when they believe their children are in danger.
It's almost as if the messenger is the one that gets punished because the message they're bringing is one that people don't like to listen to and don't like to believe.
In Evelyn Hayes' case, 3 physicians found that the child had scars on her rectum consistent, said one, with sodomization, more severe than what we normally find. 3 separate investigators said the child identified her father as molesting her. She even described it to a court-appointed psychologist on tape.
My daddy has hurt me. He had me on my rectum with a stick.
Steve Hayes declined to talk to us on camera, but his attorney insisted Evelyn and her mother had coached the child.
The charges against Mr. Hayes are the product of a deranged person obsessed with sexual abuse.
They say any abuse must have happened when Evelyn had the girl in hiding. The judge gave the father custody, and the court warned Evelyn Hayes if she persisted in saying her ex-husband abused the child, her visitation rights would disappear. And that's what happened.
The issue in the court's mind was not whether this child was being abused by her father. The issue in their mind was the integrity of the judicial system and how they were going to deal with a woman who refused to follow the orders of the court.
Dozens of other women have found themselves in similar situations. Anita Batman lost custody of her daughter after she charged her husband with sexually abusing the girl.
There was one year when we had no contact with her whatsoever, and it was a nightmare.
Same, too, for Kitty Cruz, who lost custody of her daughter after accusing the child's father of molesting her. Lawyer Alan Rosenfeld says he knows of over 100 similar cases.
Judges who are used to people respecting their power get very angry and vindictive against mothers, especially if it's a poor, inarticulate mother who defies their power.
But others say the courts often hear false charges of sexual abuse, that judges act in what they believe is the best interest of the child.
It stretches the fabric of my imagination to imagine that judges are going to pause on individual cases in order to be vindictive.
The judges in Evelyn Hayes' case would not discuss their decisions with us on camera. For now, the closest Evelyn Hayes can get to her daughter is the video of her we took from the street.
She's gotten so big.
The bigger tragedy, though, many say, is that in trying to stop these controversial court battles by taking mothers out of their children's lives, judges may be punishing the children as well. Erin Hayes, CBS News, Albertville, Alabama.
I love performing, though it's a lot more fun with an audience. I love sweet things, too, like sun-sweet pitted prunes. They're so tasty and fat-free. It's love, all right. It's sun-sweet.
You'd rather walk than drive an American car.
You think no American car can match the quality of an import. You figure if it isn't foreign, it isn't for you. You wouldn't give an American car the time of day. Well, in case you haven't noticed, times have changed. Introducing the new Skylark. This is the Buick that's going to change a lot of impressions about Buick.
Have you had your V8 today? Did you know that V8 juice has less than half the calories of that apple?
Wow!
Did you know that V8 has more vitamins A and C than that tossed salad?
Wow!
And did you know that V8 is 100% vegetable juice, so it has no fat, unlike that low-fat yogurt?
Wow!
So how do you feel now that you know these things?
Wow! I gotta have a V8.
V8 is a nutritious blend of 8 vegetable juices that taste terrific. Have you had your V8 today?
80% of nation on flu alert. Earliest outbreak in 10 years. Severe flu season underway. What will you do? Get serious medicine. Doctors recommend Theraflu. Theraflu is hot liquid medicine. Strong therapy for flu symptoms. Hot liquid therapy that works fast. What will you do when you get the flu? Doctors recommend Theraflu. Strong therapy for flu symptoms.
Extra Strength Maalox Plus, the strongest antacid there is, now comes in extra strength tablets. Stronger than Tums, stronger than Rolaids. New Extra Strength Maalox Plus, now in tablets.
It's the strongest, and my stomach tells me it's fast.
100 years ago in America, cowboys used to sing about home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play. 100 years later, some American homeowners say the deer have worn out their welcome. They can't play here anymore. Jacqueline Adams reports on the Battle of the Backyard.
From New England to the Midwest, thousands of suburban homeowners no longer see deer as Bambi, as animals in need of protection.
I hate deer. They're overgrown. They're like overgrown rats. They've eaten everything.
Those were beautiful plants when they were planted, and now they've all been chewed up, and yet deer aren't supposed to eat something like this.
Those passions are now fueling a vigorous debate, guns versus deer. 20 years ago, as a safety measure, Princeton, New Jersey voters banned hunting with firearms. Last fall, however, fed up with deer, they repealed that ban.
With no hunting, the herd began to just explode in numbers.
And so did the risks. Here in Princeton, cases of Lyme disease caused by the deer tick have jumped 5-fold since 1989. And with so many deer here, there are on average 3 deer car collisions every single week.
Silver bells, shotgun shells, hunting's got to go.
Not everyone is convinced deer crimes warrant the death penalty. Some homeowners think random shotgun fire in their neighborhoods is far more dangerous than the deer.
How can we enjoy our property in peace if a hunter can be directly over the boundary line and firing a weapon?
Really what this is all about is inconvenience of people. The deer are eating some flowers and shrubbery. It's hardly a fair solution or the correct solution to bring guns into this town because of the shrubbery.
In fact, scientists say there is no good deer control option other than hunting. Homeowners can't fence in all their property. It costs too much to trap and move the deer, and the most effective means, deer birth control, hasn't yet been perfected.
When a mosquito lands on you, you swat it. We're talking about shooting deer. All the same things.
How do you feel about deer? Can you sum it up in a sentence?
Yes, death to Bambi.
In many states, the deer have adapted so well to suburbia, they are as numerous as when the Pilgrims first landed. To halt their population boom, experts say 40% will have to be killed every year. The only problem is the hunting may have to be done on somebody's front lawn. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, Princeton, New Jersey.
That's part of our world tonight. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Tired of big city guys at the state capitol ignoring your small town problems? How about seceding? Not possible? Don't tell these folks. Their story on the CBS Evening News tomorrow.
The people of CBS News. Dan Rather.
Connie Chung.
Mike Wallace.
Paula Zahn.
Ed Bradley.
Leslie Stahl.
Harry Smith.
Morley Safer.
Bob Schieffer.
And Charles Kuralt. Experience.
CBS News.
This is CBS.
Next on the TV8 News Live at 6, has Prairie Meadows run out of options?
Potential buyers may have been scared away today by the governor, who's taking a tough stand against the expansion of gambling in Iowa. I'm Martin Augustine. I'll have a live report next.
Also tonight, a remarkable turnaround for students at a Des Moines elementary school. TV8's Michelle Parker with details. And Des Moines firefighters were starting fires today. Jeff Greenwood will tell us why.
Connie's cooler forecast, Heidi back with Super Bowl hype. TV8 News is coming up next.
Hard work and a respect for the good earth. Midwestern traditions that help produce some of the world's highest quality foods, like pork. And now, participating McDonald's are bringing back a favorite, the delicious McRib sandwich at a special value. Boneless pork simmered in sassy barbecue sauce, nestled on pickles and onions on a home-style roll, but only for a limited time. Good food from the good earth, from America's heartland. The McRib at participating McDonald's.
Everyone wants to know they got the right car at the right price. Before you buy your next car or truck, ask yourself these 3 questions. Do I like it? Does it fit my needs? Can I afford the payments? This month at Jerry Covington's, the Cavalier. You like it? Does it fit your needs? It's affordable, just $89.95 or $199 per month. And remember, unless this emblem is on your car, you probably paid too much. Hurry into Jerry Covington Chevrolet Geo in Indianola.
The people of Los Angeles appeal to soybean farmers everywhere.
Did you know Velvet Leaf could actually wipe out the soybean crop?
That's right. No soybeans, no tofu.
Millions of Californians are counting on you and Command.
Thank you for watching KCCI, TV8 in Des Moines. And now from TV8, Iowa's news leader, Paul Rhodes, Kevin Koenig, Connie McBurney with weather, and Heidi's Holiday Sports. This is TV8 News, live at 6.
Good evening, and thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Steve Oswald, in for Kevin, who has the night off. Chances are growing slimmer that Prairie Meadows can be sold without Polk County taxpayers picking up the tab.
Governor Terry Branstad may have chased away potential buyers by reiterating today his opposition to adding more gambling to Prairie Meadows. TV8's Martin Augustine is at the track and joins us now live. Martin?
Sue, at his weekly press conference, Branstad took a tough stand against the expansion of gambling here at Prairie Meadows, saying you can't base good economics on gambling. That's bad news for the track. It has potential buyers, but those offers are contingent upon the addition of casino-style gambling here. So the Polk County taxpayer may be left holding the Prairie Meadows bill.
I would say that the Polk County taxpayer may as well resign themselves to the fact they're going to take a big loss on Prairie Meadows.
Bob Cremey has been spearheading efforts to either get the track sold or find ways to reduce Polk County's tax burden. Cremey says state legislators are under almost no pressure to change their minds and allow casino-style gambling at the track. And he's critical of Polk County business and municipal leaders unwilling to make a financial commitment.
When it comes time to do something about the problem, you know, it's just not there.
There was a glimmer of hope last week as a group of buyers from Minnesota made an offer on Prairie Meadows that would have erased most of the track's debt. But that offer was contingent upon adding riverboat-style, low-stakes casino gambling, something Governor Branstad opposes, and it appears he's not retreating from his stance.
We heard last year, if we just expanded gambling by simulcasting, the whole thing would be resolved. It didn't turn out to be the case.
Prairie Meadows officials' hands are tied, saying they're just trying to find buyers. Tom Timmons, track financial director, says now it's up to elected officials. The ball is out of our court. And he doubts anybody will buy the facility just as a horse track. It appears the Polk County taxpayer is going to take the hit, but some hold out hope that a deal will yet be struck at the State House.
I think one can argue that this isn't an extension of gambling, but it's merely allowing one form of entertainment that's now legal in part of the state to be legal in another part of the state.
Now, the governor says expanded gambling here at Prairie Meadows is a simplified solution for the track's problems. He quoted from an old saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Sue?
Martin, we've heard so much about taxes going up for Polk County residents because of Prairie Meadows. Any idea how much they would increase?
I posed that question to both Michael Ralston and Bob Cremey, and both of them say that's a difficult formula to come up with. The only thing they'd tell me is that the increase would be substantial.
Okay, thank you. Martin Augustine reporting live.
The Charles City man accused of kidnapping 2 young girls says he's not guilty. 20-year-old Michael Klunder is accused of leaving 2 3-year-old girls in a Northwood, Iowa dumpster on December 15th. Klunder allegedly kidnapped the toddlers from a Charles City apartment complex and then drove them to Northwood, where they were abandoned. The suspect today pleaded not guilty to charges of first-degree kidnapping and false imprisonment. He could face up to life in prison if convicted, and trial is set for March 17th. Firefighters made quick work of a fire at an East Side Des Moines home today and then managed to save the family dog in the process. Fire broke out at the Ed Bosley home on East 41st. Authorities believe the fire started in the basement and then worked its way up into the rest of the house. No one was home except the family dog, a 6-month-old Cocker Spaniel called Midnight. The firefighters rescued the dog and then handed him back to his thankful owners. The fire caused several $1,000s damage to that home.
Governor Branstad wants to put a freeze on key parts of state government in fiscal 1993. In budget plans unveiled today, the governor wants to freeze spending at most state agencies, freeze spending on community colleges, and freeze state worker salaries at this year's levels. That would be a second full year without a pay increase for state employees. The governor also wants to raise $37.5 million in new taxes, but says he still opposes what he calls a major tax hike.
This budget should be balanced without a major tax increase. I've made it very clear that I will not support an increase in either the sales tax or the income tax, and I believe the property taxes for cities and counties should be frozen for the next 2 years.
The governor continues to oppose setting aside money to pay the raises awarded to union state workers. The governor formally reveals his budget Friday.
A state audit tonight says the Iowa School for the Deaf in Council Bluffs spent tax money on country club dues and chandeliers. The audit shows more than $16,000 spent on those items, plus maid service, mostly for the home of the deaf school superintendent, William Johnson. The audit says more spending oversight is needed. The deaf school is sharply disputing the audit's findings.
In the Iowa Trust Fund case tonight, an attorney asked a Colorado judge to put a freeze on $45 million in assets at a Colorado bank, because that money belongs to Iowa cities and counties. But the bank's lawyer says there's no proof the money transferred to the Denver bank belongs specifically to the Iowa Trust Fund. Hearing on the matter continues tomorrow.
A Des Moines Elementary School is celebrating a big improvement in their basic skills tests. As TV8's Michelle Parker reports, students at Moulton School have now doubled their scores.
Well, if you don't want to use that word, you don't have to. It's your paragraph.
3rd and 4th graders at Moulton School are very proud of themselves, and for good reason. Results from the Iowa test of basic skills show the 4th graders scored in the 29th percentile compared to the 15th percentile when they were 2nd graders.
It makes me feel good because our class got a better score than last year. And it makes me feel just good, now I know that I'm learning a little more than what I was in 1st and 2nd grade.
Moulton 3rd graders scored in the 30th percentile compared to the 15th percentile when they were in 2nd grade. For a school that traditionally has had low basic skills scores, the increases are a big boost to morale.
B-O-T.
Principal Jim Graber says the higher scores reflect the hard work of the teachers. Graber says educators at the school have been trying to work as a team and adjust to the students' learning styles.
Not everyone learns with just pencil and paper. Some need manipulatives, so they need to work with their hands. Some people are better listeners, so we need to say things more orally.
Okay, it's Milton. Right.
District-wide, Des Moines elementary students consistently score above the 50th percentile on the basic skills test. The latest results show the district's 4th graders raised their scores by 9 percentile points. At Moulton, officials say there's still more work to do.
It's nice to celebrate an increase like that, and really our goal is to get at least to the 50th percentile.
Michelle Parker, TV8 News.
Well, Connie McBurney is talking about a record high temperature today. Connie?
Well, that's not often what we're talking about in the middle of January. We've already passed the average date for the January thaw. I guess that was it. Today we did reach 58 degrees here in Des Moines. They set a record in Carroll as well with 55, but no more Mr. Nice Guy. Some clouds are now entering the state. They're bringing a change in temperatures and in the weather and will help reduce some patches of fog tonight. Drive very carefully. We'll have more on the weather later on in the news.
Thank you very much. And next on the TV8 News, Des Moines garage is on fire. Jeff Greenwood says it's all for practice.
And later on in the news, media frenzy at the Super Bowl. Heidi Soliday with a report from the Twin Cities, so don't go away.
Direct from Broadway and the heart of rock and roll comes Buddy, the Buddy Holly story, the sensational hit musical that's raising the roof in London, Australia, and now in theaters across America. The star that had them cheering, the songs that had them bopping, the story that went down in history. Come down for the wildest night out since 1959.
KCCI TV8 and KIWA Radio welcome Buddy to the Civic Center February 4th through 6th. Call and charge your tickets today.
It's the one that gets picked up, looked up, thumbed on, drummed on, taped up, scraped up, grabbed that, jabbed that. It's the one that gets thumbed through, flipped through, clocked down, dropped down, written on, bidden on, used a lot, choose the lot. Or take a look, man, upon this book, man. Was this the one that gets you?
U.S. West Direct.
Quality. You hear a lot about it, but what does it mean? For more than 60 years, quality at Anderson Erickson has meant one thing. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. It shows in using only the finest, freshest ingredients, the highest standards of production, and painstaking testing. Old-fashioned values? You bet. Because the more things change, the more they stay the same. AE. For more than 60 years, quality you can taste.
It is the first element of creation. Nothing brings it more elegantly or shapes it more beautifully than Anderson windows and patio doors. Come, live in the light of Anderson windows. Come home to Anderson.
Tonight's TV8 News, live at 6, is being simulcast on KLBA Radio in Albia, 1370 on your AM dial.
The Des Moines Fire Department today reports a rash of northeast side garage fires. As it turns out, Des Moines firefighters are responsible. That's right, the firefighters started them. But as TV8's Jeff Greenwood now reports, it was all part of a training exercise.
The Des Moines Fire Department was just as busy lighting fires today as it was putting them out. 18 fire recruits are extinguishing months of intense training by teaming up to put out 5 controlled abandoned garage fires. Des Moines District Chief Larry Fogelson.
They've got to respect fire, so you have to anticipate what it's going to do and keep ahead of it so you can control it instead of having it control you.
After 17 weeks of training, this is the first fire these recruits have fought. They say the classroom can prepare you for just about everything except for the fire's intensity.
The heat's much more intense than they can ever explain to you in class. A lot of heavy smoke, but the heat's the most intense thing.
Department trainers say every fire is a learning experience, even for a veteran firefighter at a training scene.
I stayed in with several students, and they're having a good time getting to learn and everything, and I stayed in quite a while, and it shows, so that's what happened.
That's a visor, huh?
Yes, visor on your helmet, shield to
It was a visor.
pull down, yes.
Slow down, it's jumping close to us, okay? Now relax, put your mask on. It's going to be the real deal.
A training fire in an abandoned garage may not be as spectacular as the fires you see in the movie Backdraft, nor is the adrenaline flow as intense. But these recruits have to start somewhere, and trainers say this is the safest, most controlled scenario. This 79th Des Moines Fire Academy recruit class graduates this Friday. Jeff Greenwood, TV8 News.
Tonight on the news at 10, an eye on business. Tonight, Jill Lingwall with a report card on Iowa's economy. Are we bucking the recession? We'll hear from experts and from Iowans trying to make ends meet at 10.
The United Way is looking for a few good role models. It's a nationwide effort called the One-to-One Mentoring Initiative. It was announced today in Des Moines. United Way is looking for volunteers to act as role models and help disadvantaged young people. Local organizers call it a good investment in the future.
In a community such as ours, that our youth are really our future and that our youth are at risk. So it's a means of bringing together all those mentoring programs, this one-to-one initiative, bringing together all the mentoring programs that are presently in existence in a working effort to target on our youth, along with our public schools.
Chandler is hoping to recruit hundreds of volunteers for the mentoring program. It's believed there are at least 10,000 so-called at-risk children in Metro Des Moines.
And Connie, what a great day to be in the weather business,
Oh, boy,
right?
wonderful.
58 degrees.
I couldn't believe it.
Super.
Think how excited we were about 50. I guess we're easy to please at this point. And in fact, the forecast is a little bit of the roller coaster look again. We'll take a slide down in, well, in just a few hours. The change has begun. Weather is next.
Harlan Meyer talks about timed-release bullet herbicide.
We had an early dry spring, we had then a very wet spring, then we had a very dry summer, and we had just excellent performance.
So what's the program this year, Harlan?
I told my sons, you're going to buy all bullet if I'm going to apply it.
Encapsulated timed-release bullet. Season-long control from clean till to no-till. Just ask Harlan.
I think bullet is the best product that you could use.
You need a powerful office computer. Now Best Buy lets you bring that power home with this Packard Bell 386SX computer with a 100 meg hard drive, 2 meg memory, mouse, modem, software, VGA color monitor, Epson letter quality printer, and more for just $15.98. A 386SX package with printer, just $15.98 at Best Buy.